Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card. So I'm hoping today's is just a bit of fun. It's sort of like looking at movies. I mean, who doesn't love movies or TV series, that kind of thing in terms of entertainment, and looking at the main character sort of concept that I think is a good concept to look at around tarot and around self-development and aspirational sort of tarot and all that kind of thing. But what I want to do here is look at what is your current main character arc. So part of what we're going to explore is what type of movie are you in. So that's what we're going to start with to try and work that out. And then based on that, I'll choose what tarot deck I think will give us the information to take us through that arc and see at the moment on current energies how things are going, things that you can consider. We'll have a look at your energy and the energy of other main players in all this, how the stars can guide you, and then what the outcome at this point is going to be. So, as I say, hopefully this will be fun, though when I do say, it's going to be fun, there's often very serious things that come up as well. So we'll see what happens. But, take this lightly. It is meant in the sort of spirit of something that's a nice little exploration, some entertainment and so forth. But we'll see what Spirit wants to talk about. So to help with the choice, the thing that inspired this was that my eye fell on my copy of the movie tarot, and I thought, I haven't done anything around movies or entertainment for ages. So this is what inspired it. So I thought I would use the movie tarot both as the choice to help you sort of navigate to which reading, or readings if you want to go to more than one, are drawing you for your main character energy. And it's the first clue as to the type of movie, but it won't necessarily be the deciding factor. There are some other cards from the movie tarot and another oracle card if it's needed as a deal breaker or a confirmation to work out what kind of movie are we talking about. Is this a romance character arc? Is this a drama? Is it psychological? Is it a little bit of horror and mystery? Is it speculative and explorative? Is it comedic? It could be any of those things. So we'll see. But the first clue, as I say, is what, when I shuffled and asked for an indication of that, I got here. So for pile number 1, we have Temperance. We have Morgan Freeman. So that makes me think of Shawshank Redemption, makes me think of drama, psychological sort of character arcs, things that are about redemption. Also, there's a redemptive arc that's associated with Shawshank Redemption. I mean, it's in the title. So that's a possibility, but as I say, it may not be the only thing, but that may draw you there. Pile number 2, we have Will Smith, I think in Men in Black. That looks like him in Men in Black. So I suspect that has something to do with, speculative adventure, that kind of thing. Maybe a little bit around power politics or mysteries. Page of Wands would suggest creative energy as well. And for pile number 3, we have Salma Hayek in From Dusk Till Dawn, so with the Devil card. So that might be a pretty big sign that there's something about the horror, psychological stuff, mysteries and so forth associated with it. Don't be put off though. As I say, that might be just a subplot element of it all. So you do you. Choose however you choose. Pause if you need to. When you know what reading or readings you want to go to, the timestamps are in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome pile 1 to your reading. So you chose, as I say, the Morgan Freeman Temperance, bringing things into balance. As I said, a redemptive arc was what sort of like jumped out at me, particularly as I think that is the character from the Shawshank Redemption. And I think there's something about that. I think your main character arc is redemptive, either for yourself or for others. Because we also have, I think that's Charlize Theron, in some sort of like Road Warrior or something like that. I'm not sure what the movie is there. Somebody, if you know in the comments, let us know. But I feel like there's a sort of sense of hostile environments, a sense of like having the courage and the passion to move out and take things forward. So I think it's redemption of others as much as from yourself. But there is definitely some form of calamity or issue that you are trying at this point to find peace in. Like it feels like finding peace after a battle or needing to go into a battle for peace. And the interesting thing, as a deciding factor and what made me go, yeah, this is a drama. This is a drama and it is redemptive. So it's about connecting with other people and connecting with a cause possibly, or even potentially for some of you, a misuse of, it might be your own redemptive arc operating here, having had certain skills or abilities and or sort of magic or opportunities and feeling on reflection that you haven't done with them what you should have done with them. So you're now looking to take on a cause. The tinderbox soldier with ambition here says that there is a driving force to have an outcome, but it's also a story about a soldier who, when he is asked to get a tinderbox for a witch, chops off the head of the witch because he can see he could get more money and fortune out of that. But in fact, in doing it, he's chopped off the head of the actual magic. So there's a sense of understanding the implications of choices around ambition, around who you are in the world, all that kind of thing. So I think this story, this movie, is either about you having done something like that. Some of you may have literally had a situation where you had opportunities, privilege and so forth, and you feel now on reflection, I mean, you're at the point where you're in the redemptive arc, if that's the case, that you want to undo that and move forward with honour and temperance and balance. And it may in fact be, because I have a strong sense here, of supporting others. It may be taking up a cause as a way of redeeming that energy, if you feel that you've done that. Otherwise, you witnessed it, I think, and you're now wanting to sort of learn from what has created that, bring balance into it and go forward and right the wrong. So it could be either of those things. But your role is in shifting something that was ill-used or not valued in the way that it should have been, taking it forward as a bit of a hero. So there's a hero quest in this, there's a redemptive arc for you or for others. And there's a sense of bringing a more contemplative energy and understanding, a philosophical understanding almost of the situation to move forward. So I don't feel like this is a romance unless it is that you feel that you didn't fully appreciate someone, or that you weren't fully appreciated, and now there's sort of like a redemptive arc on either side with that. For most, I feel this is more philosophical. It's more about power, ambition, that kind of thing. So I'm feeling that your arc is all around what either you need to redeem or someone else needs to redeem, and you're in a drama, but it's about people, power, ambition, magic. So I'm going to use the Lilith tarot for you. So we're going to look into this in more detail now with that tarot. So this is literally the Lilith and the Machine tarot, to give it its full title. So we're going to go act by act. So typically in a movie we have 3 acts. The first act is setting the scene on what is going on. What is the hero quest? What type of energy are we looking at? And so we're going to see what the tarot can tell us about your particular main character arc here. And as I say, what is being redeemed, what is being heroically brought back. And we're going to use also an oracle at the end of looking at the tarot bit here to ask what the key question is that your main character is trying to answer. And then we'll move to the second act and I'll talk about that. But for the first act, let's have a little bit more about what's going on here. What is the core storyline of your main character arc at the moment? Pile 1. King of Wands reversed, 7 of Swords, 2 of Pentacles reversed, 10 of Coins, or 10 of Pentacles, Queen of Wands. Okay, all right. So I find that really interesting for a start, that we have a redemptive energy with a male character shown there and a female character as, in a sense, the hero. And we've got the King and the Queen of Wands, and the King is reversed. So as I say, this could be setting up a thing where your own sense of power in the world, it's the redeeming from maybe manipulating towards having an outcome and coming very much from your ego and what you wanted to prove through to being authentic. So this could be about you. If you relate to that and you think, you know what, I've done certain things that I'm now not really happy that I did. I think in the end I'm going for a good cause, but maybe my methods I wasn't happy with. If that's the case, your realization of that has made you stop just at the point where there's a key decision to make, because you realize this decision has a huge legacy. It echoes in time. You can't continue. It's almost like some of you could have, if you feel you're the one who's being redeemed, could have had fun in a way, almost dealing with all the sort of machinations of power, like kind of like a sense of a character in a movie who has spent many years, in a royal court and has had fun with all the court politics because they haven't had to make a really fundamental decision, but they're moving into a position like, maybe it's a young prince or princess and she's moving into a situation where you actually have to take some responsibility. And now it's like, I can't use that process anymore. to make this decision because it really matters, and this is about who I truly am and what my legacy is. So if you relate to that, that's the core thing. It's like suddenly there is real skin in the game on something, and what you do and the choices you make now really impact how you are seen and what you create in your life. If this is about redeeming someone else, then there has been some sort of Machiavellian character. You've been aware of them, and you are now becoming the countervailing force. They're very clever, they're very Machiavellian, as I say, but there's a decision and it hangs in the balance. And you are bringing a sense of again, how this echoes in time, and you're bringing the more authentic view to bring it into balance, because there is lacking the balance of temperance at the moment. So it just depends upon which one relates for you. But either way, there's a shift from a too clever by half, but not necessarily appropriate energy, to one that has a great deal of responsibility. This could be saying that there's something in your life where, as I say, you're really saying, now I'm going to grow up, now I'm going to take forward, now I'm going to look after others. But you're very, very clever if that's the case. And you've had a lot of fun with being clever, and now you're going to use that with proper stewardship. But as I say, if it's not that, if this is an antagonist, and we are going to look at you versus an antagonist, then they're very Machiavellian, very ego-oriented, you're very authentic. So you've got the winning arc. You've got the winning arc. This is why these are two very positive characters. But there's a lot of like mental energy, and you need to kind of protect your energy if that's the case, because this person is, if they're the tinderbox soldier, they're not sort of above doing some pretty dramatic things to get their way. So yes, let's do a stories oracle. In the first act of any movie, the scene is set for what type of movie it is. What's the core question? You know, what is the main character trying to achieve? So let's see what you have with the stories oracle. We have Canis Venetici. What if you were strong enough to stand alone, but wise enough to accept the support of others? Okay. So this could be one of two things. Again, it depends upon how you're responding to this. If you feel this is your redemptive arc and you're moving towards something connecting family, legacy, other people, a work organisation, and your authentic self, you might have had a lot of fun being the cleverest person in the room, and I think you probably are. If this is you, you're very, very, very smart. But there is now a choice. The choice about using that less around being the cleverest person in the room and more about what you can create, and that does require the connections with others. It requires a balance. So this could be a psychological movie about you understanding how to connect what you bring on a very individual level to something that is greater than you, and you know this choice is here. If it is dealing with a very Machiavellian energy here so that you can bring something authentic, it's already questioning for you at this early stage, who do you need to connect with now to marshal the forces you need to get beyond this energy? Because if this energy is not you, then this energy is a force to be reckoned with. But there are others, you will have allies. So the question is, who are your allies? Okay, so Act 2 is where kind of all the major things occur. So it's about, meeting the challenges, understanding what they are, all that kind of thing. So let's see how this is likely to play out at the moment for you on current energies. And remember with tarot, once you know this, if you don't like something, you can work to mitigate it. So the current energies for what this main character arc looks like for you. 5 of Cups reversed. Queen of Cups reversed. 10 of Swords reversed. Now that's interesting. 10 of Swords reversed. 3 of Swords. 8 of Swords. Wow. This is very much in the mind, I have to say. Like it feels if it's some sort of battle for supremacy, it's very much a political battle or a philosophical battle. It may also be you making some very clear philosophical and values-based decisions about who to be around. So if this was around a love relationship, then it may be understanding that there's been a kind of like a mental frisson and everything with somebody, but it's not for the long term and you need to find the right people. There is a sense here of separation. There's something in the second act in all of this where you are separating from something. You could be separating from your own mental games and separating from like a kind of enjoyment of the drama of it. If this is you, you may have enjoyed that. And I'm not saying that as a criticism, like many times, when people are very clever, they will do this, and they don't necessarily mean harm, but it's like, it's not, they haven't got the skin in the game, but there is skin in the game now if that's the case. So it may be you detaching yourself from your go-to methodologies and understanding how much you've denied your heart. This could very much be sort of someone who's used to being on their own, used to being, as I say, the cleverest person in the room, but like now there's somebody like a love partner or people that really matter, and it's like you start to see all this journey is seeing how that has actually cut you off from your heart, so that you can actually start to break those patterns and go on a redemptive arc. If this is someone else doing this, then this is you understanding the emotional fallout of this whole battle and working out how to take the drama out of it. And I think there's a sense of separating from an energy. So this could play out as a psychological drama with a love partner that is narcissistic or manipulative, and the whole story here is about separating out and freeing yourself, because you're not, a realization you're not getting the emotional side of things. If it is a power play, political, social thing, then it's separating from energies that were too restrictive and were painful in their philosophy, because somehow this philosophy, this movement, whatever it is, has lost its heart. So this is why this is so important about who are you connecting with and why at this, because there are huge philosophical energies around this for you to redeem either yourself or a situation or others. So at the end of the second act, you always get a plot twist. Going into the second act, into the third act, it's like where the plot twist comes, and it can really make you wonder if the hero is going to get the outcome that is necessary. So let's see the plot twist. If this is really, it looks like a psychological drama that plays out around power or love or family or community in some way, where there's a real shift in the way that things are done, and it's necessary to connect to the heart. What's the plot twist that could happen in your arc at the end of the second act? Gift, revelation, unpredicted offering, find the truth. Okay, so this makes me feel, whether it's you having gifts and understanding the gifts you have are actually way above being the smartest person in the room, so that you can separate from that and get and know that your true gifts are within your heart. So realizing that, maybe through losing, like if this was your redemptive arc in the second act, it could be that somebody important to you is there is a potential risk of the loss of that. And so you have to find your heart again and find your gift and find the key to do it. So that's a plot twist potentially, that this has all been sort of a little bit psychological, and then there's a real emotional issue you have to deal with. The other thing could be that if it is in some form of political, social environment or something where you're trying to redeem others, the plot twist is that you find out that you have a gift that you can bring to this that you didn't know you had. So, there's a kind of hero quest where the hero doesn't realise the abilities, gifts and so forth that they have until they are forced to find a way through something that seems almost insurmountable. So this looks like it's an awareness of that, and it's almost like a waking up energy that's occurring. So the plot twist is you actually really understanding why it's you, why you have to take this forward, and what only you can do, which then leads you into the third act. So the third act is how it all plays out in the end. So let's see both the challenges and the blessings of the third act for your main character arc. Pile 1. 10 of Wands, 4 of Cups reversed, 9 of Cups reversed, King of Cups reversed, Ace of Swords reversed. Okay, so this may be a little bit of a warning for you, I think. And then you know how I said that if there's something, particularly in the outcome of this, that doesn't look what you would ideally want, the reason for coming to this reading is to be aware of that. So this looks to me like there is a possibility of you not using the gift and deciding to relieve the burden of this by letting it go and withdrawing, which is kind of in that 4 of Swords. If you do that, you're not going to reach your true wish. And if you do that, you're not healing this situation the way you could. So I feel like this is really saying to you that this is pushing you to a point of understanding gifts you have so that you move forward and you are the person who redeems yourself or redeems others. And at the moment, there's something in this environment, whether it's because of the other person, if it is another person, or whether it's because you feel guilt and you think, I can't go forward, I should suffer this. Like this, what is not meant to happen, and Spirit is saying this quite clearly, this is why this is coming up as a bit of a warning, is it's not meant, if you were the one, it's not meant for you to think, I've done this, therefore I have to suffer. That's not what this is meant to be. The gifts that you are given, you're given them for a reason. That's why it's a plot twist. So you're meant to turn this energy around, because right now it looks like if this is you and you're meant to be on a redemptive arc, you may decide you aren't worthy of it, and that's not what's meant to happen. If it's somebody else, it may be that you don't use your gifts in this situation, that you walk away rather than towards. So that's, as I say, that's kind of the risk here. Like it might seem the most balanced thing to just not engage. But this is the point, the Queen of Wands. You're meant to take this battle on. But right now, you're underestimating your gifts and maybe you haven't found your people yet. So they're the two things to do. So that's interesting. And remember, psychological dramas don't always, in their trajectory, always have a great outcome. But there is a possibility to switch this. And that's the point about seeing it through tarot. So given that, let's have a little bit of a look, a little bit more about you and other characters in this. And this might help us work out whether this is a version of you or it's other characters. So typically within a movie, you will have you as the main character, we'll have an antagonist or a challenger, and we'll have a sidekick. So I'm going to use a deck with colour energy, and I'm firstly just going to look at the nature of each within this movie. Then I'm going to have a look with the same deck about what energies you should use to maximise the best outcome in relation to yourself and those two people. So for you, the energy, a little bit of more of a descriptor of you in this energy at the moment. Dandelion, manifestation, optimism, wishes. Yes, I can. See, this is the thing. Yes, I can. This is the message you're supposed to get. There needs to be a kind of an optimism in a rather cold energy. So you're bringing that. What's the antagonist or challenge energy? Ivory, charm, finesse, poise. All right. I think for most of you, this person is not you. So this is one of the questions around this. Was this your own redemptive arc or something else? I think that this is a very sophisticated energy. It's a manipulative energy. It might have status. It might have money. This person appears to have it all together, but it's not real. You're actually meant to be the one who creates the legacy, but it's almost like one of the things that this sort of feels like is the sort of naturally talented person versus the privileged person. But you need to understand this person really does know how to present themselves. So that's why it's a challenge. And it's sort of like, yes, you can. It's like, don't walk away. Don't feel this person's defeated you before you start, because that they haven't. Now, remember it said finding your people. Let's see an energy around a sidekick or supporter for you. Emerald, fortune, luck, luxury. Okay, so there's someone who can bring forward, and that's a very strong heart energy with green, someone who's lucky for you. And in fact, it suggests that don't do this on your own. That this could be, if you haven't fully found that, there's someone who's actually lucky. And I wouldn't mind betting with fortune, luck and luxury that these two people are from the same sort of thing. It feels like it's people who are well off or whatever, but one is actually really good for you. The other is as I say, very manipulative. So let's see the energies of dealing with each. So for you, to get the best outcome so that you don't walk away from your dream. And you don't sort of like give up before you could bring a new way of thinking and doing things in, because I think you're going to help more than just yourself. The energy around you best following your main character arc is brown, earth, foundation, seeds. Yeah, like it's like doing something, sticking it out. This is why it's the 10 of coins. You're meant to bring in a new legacy, and you can, but it's up against some other powerful, well-established order or people who, as I say, are very manipulative. But there are people, even within the current system, that see the value of what you could bring in. So how do you best deal with this very Machiavellian, very charming if they need to be, very slippery sort of character. Silver, insight, illumination, reflection. Yeah, realise that it's all smoke and mirrors with them. Silver, you know, as the moon is reflecting the light of the sun, you're more like the light of the sun. Realise that quite a bit of what they do is because they're threatened by you. They're trying to take from you what you would naturally should have. So for some of you, this is a battle for something that is yours almost by birthright. So that's going on. Or it's someone who appears to be ahead of you in terms of skill or whatever, but really isn't. So understand there's a lot of illusion, a lot of mystery, a lot that isn't real in this person. And then the best energy to find and connect with, just as that fundamental question said, the friend that you have in this is gold, prosperity, riches and wealth. There's definitely someone, the two of you together create gold. Could be a friend, could be a lover, could be anything. I mean, with gold, it could actually be, you know, a sort of divine counterpart as well too, but whatever, and with the green for the heart. But there is a capacity. See, instead of silver, gold, there is a connection here. This is a pretender. This is a pretender to whatever this is. And this person can help you, the two of you together, create the gold. They may even be rivals. That might be partly how you find this person, depending upon, you know, what your circumstances are. Silver and gold, but they are loyal and they will connect with you, and you are meant to ground this and bring this in, and only you can really do it. So this really is you redeeming something else, helping someone else, dealing with this situation. So at least we've clarified it's not you needing to redeem something you've done. If you feel it is, you weren't wrong. You might have felt that you battled with this person and it wasn't right, but in fact, this is saying that they're a pretender. So, you know, so people, situations you've battled with, if you felt that you kind of didn't play fair, you were in an environment where it wouldn't have been possible to play fair, but you're now connecting with the right people to move forward. But I think for most, this is saying that, you know, your main character arc is connecting with the right people so that the wrong people are exposed so that something better can be created in one form or another. So that's pretty exciting. So let's get you some stars to guide you. Pile 1. Venus. It's interesting because this is all goddess cards, so it is going to be female, but I feel as though for most of you this friend may be female or have a very strong divine feminine aspect, but also there's love about this. There's the love for what you do. And the Empress, of course, is meant to create the next dynasty and so forth and be abundant. So there's something about that. Focusing on what you love. New moon, the seeding, plant what you desire. You don't let this not plant. So this is what I feel. There's a risk at the moment of you walking away rather than dealing with this, but you're more than capable of doing it and you will have people to help you. So don't walk away from seeding the new desire. Don't give up before you start. Pile 1. And Mercury, your communication skills, your clarity, all of that is going to be very, very powerful. And the message you have is more true to the heart than the message of this very clever by half Machiavellian type. So believe in that, you know, believe in that. You are trying to plan a new way of thinking, a new way of operating, a new way of feeling in a situation. Don't give up. So last but not least, I want to draw a card from the Divine Circus Oracle for a kind of natural ending to this movie arc at this point. And so this could either be, if you don't do this and walk away, so again, a little bit of a nudge to not walking away, or it could be Spirit saying what will happen if you really take on the arc and take on the possibility and go, yes, I can. Secret of Shinobi. So this puts another complexion on this outcome. So, or it may be giving you the answer to not having the outcome where you walk away, but the outcome where you achieve. Because Secret of Shinobi is all about taking a subtle approach, a quiet approach, not being too obvious. So what could be going on here? If you decide, yes, I'm going to go forward and I know I can, it's not a full frontal assault on all of this. This is using kind of subtle, quiet approaches. You may even, with your sidekick, the sidekick may be the one who is seen and you're actually the advisor behind the scenes. This is a possibility, whatever it is. But this is saying that a little bit of a circumspect, careful, subtle approach will bring you what you need. So it's like, it's saying you don't have to fight this person head on. Either you're going to have other people that take this forward for you on your advice, or subtly and together you cause a revolution in a situation to shift away from the energy of the pretender into the energy that is more real. But there is a way to use that energy that all appeared to be kind of not following through, not doing it, and saying, well, no, that's not actually, I think Spirit's saying, no, that doesn't have to be that at all. It can just be that it's done almost from behind the scenes and it's really effective. So I hope that resonates for you in the situation that you're in. I think you're meant to redeem others in a situation rather than redeem yourself. I think that you are meant to take on a battle with someone who's very Machiavellian and clever, but I think you will have people with you, and you're meant to create something of a greater value and greater lasting sort of legacy. So don't give up, and if a sly and subtle approach is necessary, use it, because you're in a complex environment. I hope that resonates for you, Pile 1. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Will Smith's Men in Black. So as I said, there could be something sort of speculative around this. I think it is. I think this is a movie arc that is about, it's about exploration. It's about things that are larger than life. It's about, all the kind of sort of speculative fiction, science fiction, fantasy, that kind of energy. And it's about your ingenuity. So it's about your ingenuity to explore new things and to move and build things. Because the two characters that have turned up, we've got Indiana Jones over here, and then we've got Will Smith from Men in Black, both of which, so all the sort of Indiana Jones sort of movies were very much about exploration, in that case into the past, into the mysteries, into the occult, all of that kind of thing, and a sense of adventure. And then with Men in Black, the sort of sense, everything from dealing with sort of covert operations through to sort of intergalactic beings and so forth. And the energy around it is sort of explorative and freedom-oriented and building on something, a foundation. And then we have Puss in Boots with wit. Now, the thing that I think is interesting, and it's making me think I'm going to actually use a tarot that is more about wit and almost about comedy. It's not to say that what you're doing is comedic, but what I feel it is it's very clever. Like your main character arc is very clever. It's exploratory. It really understands the world, but it deals with the world with wit and cleverness, because Puss in Boots is about a cat that is very, very clever and gets what is necessary for his master. So this is about navigating freedom and building things in some way that I think is sort of explorative. So I could have gone towards the sci-fi type of deck I was thinking of, but I'm feeling like it's more about wit, and it could play out in something very sort of otherworldly potentially, but it equally could be that kind of energy of ingenuity, cleverness, wit, because there's a certain amount of comedy in the Indiana Jones movies. There's certainly a lot of comedy in Men in Black, and there's a sort of a sense of the wit and the energy to move things forward. So I'm feeling like there's almost a comedic element. So I'm going to use the Cheeky Tarot for looking into this. Now, that doesn't mean your life is a comedy. It just means that I think you're very clever. And I think it's your cleverness, your ingenuity, your wit, and the capacity not to take yourself too seriously, even in a serious situation. That is what is being played out in your main character energy. And I think there's something you're exploring, something that you're trying to achieve. It could be something you're trying to create, something you're trying to uncover, something you're going to free. And I think you will. I think Puss in Boots here is even the first sort of indication of your helper, because we will look at a sidekick energy as we go through. But I think that's right. Your character arc is about creating something new, finding something new, exploring something new, using your wit, your ingenuity, your special skills. So we're going to look at this act by act. So in a movie, the first act is where we see what is the story really about, what is the main character trying to do. So we're going to get some sense of that with tarot, and then we're going to use an oracle card to look at the key question that you're trying to answer as part of your main character arc. Then we'll go into the other acts. So firstly, a little bit more about what is this? What is the nature of your character arc at this point in time? 9 of Pentacles, the Emperor reversed, Four of Wands, the Fool reversed, the Queen of Cups. Okay. First thing I think is that there's quite a lot of people involved in this in one form or another. Just because there's a lot of people I'm feeling in this energy. You are very individual. So you're standing on your own with the Nine of Pentacles. You know, you either are already a self-made person on some level, or that's your goal, and there's a very good sign that you're going to do it. But there just seems to be a lot of people, and getting them on board is maybe the difficult thing. With the Emperor reverse and the Four of Wands reverse, it's like either there's something about your energy that is so independent and so strong that it kind of grates the energy of the powers that be. You may even be within a workplace or within groups where it's sort of a little bit hard for you to be truly who you are right now and stay in harmony, because you can actually see what's wrong, you know, like the CIA operative type of energy of Men in Black, or needing to sort of find how, you know, the powers of magic are being used and using them appropriately, you know, as opposed to some of the historical stuff that Indiana Jones looked at. And there is a wish for liberation from this. So I feel that this is a sense, there's a very strong part of your main character energy at the moment about finding liberation, finding who you are, possibly in environments that are not in alignment with you, or use power inappropriately, or are full of conflict. Now, the good thing is your ingenuity, your cleverness. You've seen all this before. So say this was a workplace. It's like you've been in a workplace like this before, and you know that you can rise above it. And if you did sort of have any mistakes, you learnt from them, and you don't need to learn them twice. So there's very much a sense of you're about to move forward knowing the terrain. So again, this character knew the terrain of what he was dealing with in terms of sort of extraterrestrial entities. This character knew the terrain in terms of you know, the history and the mythology he was dealing with. So there's this, you've gone this path before. This is not something new. This is also why we have the Four of Pentacles. You've got that foundation, and you've got the wisdom. And I also feel like the Fool, you know, like it's like the Fool almost upright has the innocence. You know, the Fool reverse has the wisdom to have the wit. So I think this is picking this up. I think that when you are dealing with conflict-based situations, you can diffuse a lot of them or win the argument through your wit. So that's part of it. But I think that there's also an emotional authenticity here. It could be that you are heading towards a balance between your own independence and finding someone to love. That could be operating. There could be a very emotionally resonant person for you around this that is part of what's driving this. It could be someone you're literally trying to rescue potentially, though they are strong in their own right, but there's something about the situation and something about your wit that can do it. Remember that Puss in Boots was helping his master. So you may, not that this person is your master per se, but there may be someone that you're also trying to help as well in this situation. But whatever it is, you know who you are, you know what you need to move away from, and you've got the kind of the wit and the emotional resonance to do it. So you're well placed. So given that, let's see what question you're trying to answer right now. Pile one. Because there's always a question, you know, that is kind of the thing that the main character has to resolve in the movie. So for you, we have Andromeda. How can you best trust and protect your heart? So yeah, it's got something to do with your heart. So your heart and your emotional authenticity. You're very clever. How do you also make sure your heart is protected? Because there is something that is a little bit, you know, contentious in this environment, and you do want to be able to be independent. How do you balance that off for your emotional authenticity? And there could be someone that you really care about that you're protecting as well. So we know as a hero quest here, we know as your main character arc that you are very clever, very talented. You don't put up with illegitimate sort of conflict. You know what you're doing, and you're trying to either protect something that's very important to you emotionally or someone that's very important to you emotionally. So let's see the second act. Now, the second act is where a lot of the drama happens. So we're going to just sort of see the sort of natural trajectory of this at the moment. And we're also going to finish with a card that looks at what could be a plot twist, because there's often a plot twist around about the end of the second act or a little bit into the third act. So let's see how this is naturally going to play out at this point. Ace of Pentacles reversed, Six of Pentacles reversed, Four of Cups reversed, Eight of Wands. Wow. I think that's a very good sign. You're going to get what you want. 10 of Cups, as is that. All right, so this is looking pretty happy. I mean, we'll see what happens in the third act, but this is looking very promising. And it makes sense because you're very clever. You'll be able to do what you need to do. You have a goal. Could be a relationship, it could be a home, it could be a job, it could be a business, it could be, some sort of monetary thing, something material. And at the beginning of the second act, when you've worked out that you've got to sort of like pursue it, you haven't achieved it yet, but you know it's there. You know it's achievable. You also know that you can do it on your own, that you are not beholden to other people. So you don't have to have a benefactor, you don't have to have a boss, you don't have to have any of that. This is something that you can grow, build yourself. So if you haven't already realised that you've graduated to the level of equals with anybody who was maybe seen as being higher status or whatever, or more power, you have that. And you are being pushed on an emotional level for this. So it's there has a very kind of sense of material, you're ready to do it, but you're being pushed emotionally. It's like you can't sit in a situation of not going after your heart. This is something you need to do. You're going to travel, move, do a lot of action. There's a lot of activity involved in this. It doesn't feel like something you can just do by an internal contemplation. This feels like you take action, you do movement, you travel in one form or another. It's a journey, and you know it's a journey, but it's heading towards something like love, companionship, happy families, or just emotional contentment. That's the goal. Even though to some degree it's going to manifest itself in something quite material for you, the goal is this happiness. So given that, and given that it looks like, through this, you're kind of like winning all along, it's working out really, really well. But, as I say, usually about the end of Act 2 or the beginning of Act 3, you get a plot twist. So what's the plot twist you need to be aware of coming up? Pile 2. Genetic eyeliner, fearless courage, inner strength, incentive. Okay, I think you're very individual to start with. You're very clever. You know what you're doing. There's going to be a point in this where the rubber really hits the road about what this means to you emotionally and who you truly are. Like for some of you, I'm getting that this journey liberates you from some definition of you that is not you. And your true individuality and your true difference and your true quirkiness comes out. So, and as I say, there's with wit and with lightness of touch and with speed and all the things that you would associate with a comedy. But really, it's about you coming to terms with being very different in some way, or having a very different connection with somebody, or something like that. And it sort of feels as though you almost don certain things. You almost don masks at this point to show the truth. Like it's a very Oscar Wilde type feeling, actually. Oscar Wilde said, if you want somebody to tell you the truth, give them a mask, or something like that. And there's something like that. I think that there's a point at which you realise that you almost become larger than life at this point to bring home who you are, and to break through in some way. So it's not a plot twist that's difficult, but it's like you taking on a role at that point. But the purpose of the role is to be larger than life, because there's something larger than life about you. That's what's meant to be working out now. So it's interesting. So let's then see what is the third act. If you've sort of reached this sort of point where you're really on this journey and you're kind of creating a persona that really helps you take you there, what's the third act, where sometimes there's challenges and where it actually is going to land at this point. Now, if this third act doesn't have what you want, the whole point about this reading is to then be able to work out what to do differently. So, and if it does have what you want, then it's meant to be a confirmation you're on the right path. So, third act, the Lovers reversed, the Eight of Cups reversed, the Ace of Cups, okay, the Five of Swords, the World reversed. All right, okay. So all of this is about finding your heart, okay, and finding who you want to be and who you want to be with, I think. And it may have sort of play out around power politics or workplaces or whatever, but in the end, it's really about that. This is saying there's a lot of possible outcomes, actually. So one possible outcome is that if you have felt, What I think this is saying is that, and I got it a bit with this, I think that some of you, I don't know whether it's that it's about your gender identity or your preferences or something like that, like it's actually being able to be really true to that. For some of you, that is happening. It's like moving away from relationships that weren't right to bring the right one in. And this is really a sign that you would do that. May not be easy to do with the Eight of Cups reversed, but there's that sort of sense of doing that, of knowing that there is something that can't be completed or can't be because it's not who you are. So for some of you, that's what this is about. You're really claiming who you are emotionally and so forth, knowing that you're in a position to do it, knowing that you're clever enough to do it. Again, the Oscar Wilde feeling. I mean, like Oscar Wilde lived in a time where his preferences, he ended up in jail. I mean, it's a travesty. So we're not in that world now. So that's good. Or hopefully most of you are at least not in a society or a culture where that's the issue. So I think that there is sort of like a promise here, if there's anything like that, and it doesn't have to be that, but if there's anything like that, this is saying that it's not necessarily easy to kind of walk away from what everybody thinks is, what you should be doing or whatever to find your true heart, but you'll find it's easier to do than you think and that you don't have to complete that path. For others, if it's not about something like that, then I think that the third act is you really determining what you love and what you would sacrifice and not sacrifice for it, and that maybe it could be that what or who you love, you're not going to give up on. So it's one or the other. It's sort of like for some of you, it's walking away from what is not authentic to walk towards what is. And for others, it's saying, I don't care. I don't care what the problems are. I don't care about any of that. This is the person for me, and it's not complete. It's not done. So it kind of depends, and it really feels, it's funny, because in the end it looks like a romance, so maybe it's a rom-com. It's like, so that kind of energy, but it's your own unique difference, and you're not prepared to do what everybody else tells you to, that brings you to whatever this outcome is. Okay, so one of the other things that happens in movies is that, there's usually you as the main character, then there's usually a challenge or an antagonist, and then there's usually a sidekick or a friend. So I'm going to use colour energy to have a look at aspects of you and those two other characters in this particular arc, and then I'm going to look at how best to use your energy to deal with that. So firstly, an energy of you in this. It's interesting, brown, hearth, foundation, seeds, earth. So there is something earthy. You are meant to, for all that there's something humorous and light and creative and clever about you, you also want something that is, and that's why we have the Nine of Pentacles, something, and the Four of Pentacles, something that can last, something that has a foundation. So you may appear to be very sort of like witty and charming and a bit of a dilettante, but you're not. You actually want the real thing in whatever this is. So people should not underestimate you. An energy of a potential challenge or antagonist around you, pile 2, is Iris, journey, path, travel. Okay. So that's interesting because there is a sense of journey and travel around this. It may say that when you start this journey, that's when you're going to find the challenge. That's when it happens. So a journey towards love, a journey towards authenticity, a journey towards whatever, away from, social, political situations you didn't like, whatever it is, the energy around this is around the travel itself. So that's where you're going to find the challenge. The friend or sidekick energy for you. Gold, prosperity, riches, wealth. So there's somebody who can help you financially or who can see the value in what you're doing. So they're going to support you and see this as something that's important. For some, excuse me, for some this is also like the alchemy. So for some it is a partner. So your friend is actually your partner, and it's the culmination of the alchemical process, the alchemical wedding. So how do you best use your energy, which is, for all that you're very, very clever and you're going to be able to go on this journey and you're going towards your heart, you can really ground it as well. How do you best use your energy and your wit and your cleverness? Burgundy, ambition, honour and respect. Yeah, having the ambition for yourself and for what you want, knowing that you can do it, knowing it can be grounded. I actually feel in a way the wit that you have might be almost satirical. It's like, it's kind of, it casts a question on anything that is untrue or fake. So you use that kind of wanting to ground the fact that underneath everything you actually have a really practical way of doing things to create your ambition. Then dealing with the challenge, which may be a person or just might be the journey itself. That's what I'm not sure about. So let's see the best way to deal with the challenge energy. Periwinkle, chilled, frigid, frozen. Okay. I think it's the journey. I don't think in this in this particular arc you have per se a person who is an enemy. I mean, there may have been illegitimate powers and influences on you, but I think you're more than able to move away from those. I think that the thing is the journey itself. Not to give up on it, like it's and not to sort of freeze it out or stop before you reach what you want, not to have it hanging open and not finished. So the journey itself is your challenge. You're more than capable of doing this, pile 2, but it's the challenge. So then how can a friend energy help you? Friend or lover energy, it could be either with gold. Silver, insight, illumination. Oh yeah, I think for most of you this is about finding, I think either it's about finding the alchemical wedding, the other partner, or that is a reward or part of the journey for you. It's the thing that maybe inspires it in some way. But there is something truly alchemical about another connection, about the heart and all that kind of thing associated with this. This is why it's really important not to let the journey itself slow you down. So there's a lot riding on this. It ultimately becomes a romance in one form or another. Okay, so let's also see what stars can guide you. Mars, action, movement, passion, all of this is important. The only challenge is if you sort of decided to stop. Then we have Trine. Yeah, this is all meant to happen. It's meant to be easy. This is why it would be an interesting movie because it doesn't look like there's some huge challenge or whatever. It's just keeping this energy going and keeping going with the flow. That's really important. And third quarter, the release, out with the old and bad and in with the new. So yeah, there is something that you let go as an approach when you go on the journey, but there's something much better that's coming. So it's pretty much a happy ending, I think. Speaking of the ending, that's what I wanted to end up with a card from the Divine Circus for an energy around what would be kind of the sort of last few scenes of the movie, or the sense of like the ending that we're looking at right now. Sweetheart. Okay, that's interesting because it puts another perspective on some of this, particularly the Emperor reversed at the beginning and so forth. Sweetheart is a promise of love, of a better relationship, of being accepted, of all the things. But it shows that it comes from a situation in the past where that wasn't done. At its very worst, there's sort of like oppression and violence and so forth. I'm not necessarily saying that has to be the case, but there's definitely a sort of sense of not being able to have your heart's desire, being oppressed, being potentially abused in one form or another. But this is the promise that now you can actually have the love. So this may be the thing. It may be that part of this journey for you, part of the underpinning drive of all of this is moving away from where you weren't loved as you should be or accepted as you should be, and maybe you used wit and being sort of a bit detached as a way of dealing with it, to use those skills and that understanding and so forth to be able to find the true love and the true acceptance, if it's not like a romance and acceptance. So this is going to happen, but it's like, you know, they say that like there's a very thin line between comedy and tragedy. This is not saying tragedy is happening. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you might have been coming from something where you weren't accepted. And you're so different and so clever and so beautiful. Now you're going to be. So, but the journey, just accepting that and going with it and trusting in it is the main challenge. If you do that, you don't sort of walk away from it. If you do that, then there's such a beautiful outcome for you. So I hope that resonates, pile 2. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Sama Hayek in From Dusk Till Dawn. And I said, you know, maybe this is going to be kind of like a horror, psychological, dark, shadow energy type of reading. And I think there's an element of that, but I'm feeling this is more fantasy. And I don't mean that what it is you can't have it, it's just a fantasy. I think it's more touching that kind of inner knowing, inner light, and finding your way through and finding your self-worth. And it feels as though kind of fantastical things like sort of magic and spirituality and all those sort of things are part of what helps you do that and releases you in some way. Because the devil card here, certainly, as I say, that's sort of like there's vampires and all that sort of stuff in that movie. So the kind of the fantasy figures of sort of ambition, desire, power. Then you have here Judy Garland, sort of, so with the star. So the sense of your North Star, with who you are, with the High Priestess. I think that this is a very spiritual group. I think it's a very psychic group. And I think your navigation is through understanding this and really owning your inner stardom and your inner ability, being freed from anything that held down that energy, because we've got Thumbelina as the kind of, this is almost a deal breaker for me to work out what type of movie we're talking about. And Thumbelina is about a very small child that is born but has an enormous potential and value, but is not necessarily seen as that until they have a chance to prove that. So there's an element here of proving against the odds. So there certainly is a kind of hero quest on that level with this. But I feel it's like something magical. I feel like this is looking at your magical and spiritual abilities and how they are going to grow and become really who you are. And I think you may be very well seen for this. Certainly it's going to liberate you from anything that's felt restrictive, so that you have a pathway, so that you very kind of predictive, precognitive, prophetic, very much into the mysteries. And it's people don't see this yet, but the story is about seeing it. So I'm going to use the Flights of Fantasy deck because I feel like we're talking about the fantastical here as your movie arc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go the 3 acts of a movie. So the first act of a movie is normally where the real impetus, the engine room of the plot occurs. You work out what it is that the hero, the main character, i.e. you, is needing to achieve. What problem are they needing to solve? What are they needing to achieve? What are they needing to prove? So we're going to have a look at that with tarot, and then we're going to use an oracle to see what the key question is you're trying to answer as part of your arc. Then we'll go into the other acts. So firstly, for the first act, a little bit more about, I think, you finding your power, your spiritual power, your magical power, your stardom ability, like how you can be your actual energy can be seen for what it is. The Queen of Swords reversed. The Six of Swords. Oh, look at this, Six of Swords. This is about navigating to a better outcome. The Three of Swords. The Hermit. Oh, gee, you're spiritual. Wow. The King of Wands. Okay. All right. So what I feel, firstly, is we're seeing there's an antagonist that's showing up right from the beginning. The Queen of Swords, when reversed and working in an energy like this, is hypercritical. I think that whether it's like your family or friends that are around you or someone, there is someone or some group of people that have seen you as less than what you are. So part of the impetus of this would be like an opening scene would be you not being recognised for something that you did or being criticised very harshly. But in fact, you've already worked out, and this might be sort of how you respond. Like I almost feel like this is you like looking back and there's this sort of look on the face like, yeah, you can say what you like, but I know what I'm doing now. So there's a sort of a sense almost of a cry to the heavens, like I know I have worth now. And it's almost like you're at the point where you've already figured out that the critique is coming to you from a very shadowy energy that wants to control because you have such potential. So I feel like right at the beginning of this, you are separating out from this energy. Even if it's painful, you separate out. Even if you have to be on your own, because you've actually worked out that you are so dialed in spiritually and you are meant to head towards something where you can be seen and shine. You're not meant to be sort of held small down here. You're meant to be able to shine your magic and your charisma and all that sort of thing. It could also be going towards someone that's showing up as the King of Wands, and it doesn't have to matter about the gender. So it could be if there's something here where there's a rival around love that you are already knowing that you can, by separating out from this energy, you can actually potentially get to that energy. But I think for most of you, this is about your own inner stardom. And I feel that there's a side of this where it's your creative potential. It's like understanding how strong your creative potential is because of your incredible psychic ability. So let's see the question that your main character would be asking here in this first act. Como Berenices. How are the stories we tell ourselves part of the larger collective narrative? Yeah, it's the stories. It's the creative energy. And it's also, what has been said to you. You've worked it out. You've worked it out. Like, I love this. Right from the start, you're already there. You already know who you are. You know that you can exceed expectations. You know that the stories have been a limitation, but you've worked out how to move forward. And you know that somehow your story is going to be very inspiring. So that's really exciting. So the setup of this is really good. It's like the sense of, it's like the chosen one. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying, you're the chosen one, but you could be a chosen one for something, but it's that kind of thing. Like, you've started to realize. So I just feel like that's you looking back going, yeah, not going to be fooled anymore. I know where I'm heading. So that's really lovely. So then you go into the second act. Now the second act is where lots of things happen, lots of challenges happen, all that kind of thing. So what's the trajectory for this? And we'll end up with another oracle deck for a plot twist, because near the end of the second act into the third act, there's usually a plot twist. So let's see what happens as you go on this journey. As you're clear, you know what you're doing. How does that play out at the moment? The Four of Swords, the Hanged Man reversed, the Emperor reversed, the Ace of Swords reversed, the Seven of Wands. Okay, all right. So the first thing you do, and this fits with the Hermit, is that you go within. So it's like, it's not like you necessarily, know this and you know where you're going, but you go within, you contemplate to get to the energy. So it's not like you're having a very overt battle with anyone. So very, very much into the mysteries and the psychic energy, and doing that makes you come up with a completely different way of doing things to other people. Like, you have a perspective because of this inner journey and this inner understanding that is beyond what other people have. If this is about something creative, and I think for some of you it could be, it's like going within to the collective unconscious, your psychic ability, coming up with something. The beginning of this is you formulating something very, very different. Like, it has a feeling of it like, a Harry Potter, or I'm just trying to think about groundbreaking things, George Orwell's 1984, like things that really shifted the dial on one level or another around creativity. So for some of you, it's going to play out like that. For others, I think it's going within to really understand the difference of your psychic ability. And this is bringing you into a little bit of a collision course with all those that would have made you feel small, because the Emperor reversed, it's exactly what that character would try and do. Tries to dominate, make everybody else feel small, because inside they are small. And it's like you start to realize that. I think you actually have already, but I think things occur as you really start to find your special source that really proves that to you. And there is a point during this second act where you're not showing it to the world too much. You're just understanding the world, and you're getting yourself ready with the Seven of Wands to go out and battle and like take it forward. So if this was something creative, it's like you've worked out what's different. You know what traditional ways of doing things aren't going to fit. You're protecting that so that you can take it out and promote it, for instance. That's just an example. It doesn't have to be something creative. Let's see the plot twist that could occur at this point. So around the end of the second act into the third act, there's often a plot twist. So let's just see what we get for you. I am enlightened, wisdom, spiritual knowledge, ability, expertise. So it's not really a plot point. I think it's when you come out and show it. The plot twist might be, because of Thumbelina, that you have all this ability and you're around all these people who claim the ability, but you're actually the one who has it. And like at this point, there's something that you bring forward that just knocks everybody's socks off. Like anybody who was a pretender to the throne can't even compete. But you haven't shown it yet. And like around the end of the second act into the third act, that's when you come forward and you show, this is who I am. And it shifts the game. It changes everything. So as I'm trying to think like creatively, or there are people who are like that, and you are one of them, who your action shifts everything. And I think for a lot of you, it's creative or it's spiritual. It's a combination of both. And it's like after that, people can't see it. You know what it also makes me think of? You know that they say, I can't remember who it was who broke was it 7-minute mile? I can't even remember the actual thing, but there was a particular thing that somebody said nobody could ever run this, a mile in whatever this time was. It couldn't happen. And then someone did do it. And then after they did it, it was like it shifted everything and other people started to be able to do it. So you're like that. That's what your energy's like. It's like there's something that you will do that is groundbreaking. Now, whether it's, known to the world or whether it's just in your circle, who knows? But you shift the dial of what is possible. This is what this is about. You exceed expectations. It's becoming very clear. I'm getting it very clearly now. This is what this is about. And people may have just told you couldn't do it, it couldn't be done. You're going to do it. That's the plot twist. It's going to shock everybody. So that's pretty exciting. So then let's have a look at how the third act plays out, where we sort of end up either in the happy ending or in the sort of cliffhanger for the next movie or whatever it might be. So let's just see how that's playing out. Now, bear in mind, I always want to say this about the third act, that if this looks like what you would want, great. If it isn't, it's meant to let you know what else you need to prepare for, as a result of this plot twist. So the third act, the Two of Wands reversed, the Three of Wands reversed, okay, the Six of Wands. If you can hear my stomach rumbling, I'm sorry. It's getting close to lunch. The Five of Pentacles. Okay, all right. There's an interesting cost here. The Chariot reversed. All right. So in the third act, I think there's a reason I didn't say in any of the other ones about this could be a cliffhanger for the next movie, but I feel like there is a kind of next point and there's some choices to make, because the very difference that means that you shift all expectations. After that occurs, it feels as though you may feel alone again. With the Two of Wands reversed and the Three of Wands reversed, you're not sure if other people will follow you. You're going to be recognised. There's no doubt about that. But is it the loneliness of the successful person or the loneliness of the person that's put on a pedestal or something? Because with the Five of Pentacles, it feels like you start to assess whether the cost of being seen for who you are is an issue, and do you want to take the next step? So it'd be almost like, you, as I say, you shifted all expectations and then somebody comes to you with an almost Faustian deal. Like now you could go to this level and it's a cliffhanger. It's like, what do I do with this now? What do I do with this now? And as I said, I think there was a reason that I was picking up that thing about, the person who ran the, 7-minute mile or 4-minute mile or whatever it was. After that, other people could do it. So I think that once you've achieved this and you are bursting out of all expectations and shifting the expectations, the question is for you how to then take it on to inspire others. And I feel like at the end of this movie that's the next question for you. So like what is the responsibility of success? And how do you make it not lonely? How do you make it something that brings people with you and unlocks other people's abilities? So very interesting. So what I also want to look at is some of the energy. So in movies, there's usually you as the main character. There's often an adversary, and I do think there's adversaries around this which were trying to keep you small or not believe you could do it. And then there's usually a sidekick or a friend. So I just want to see the energy around that and then also how you best use those energies. So we're going to use colour energy for that. So the energy around you as the main character. Oh, this is interesting. It's come up for everybody. Not necessarily in this one, but has come up. Brown, earth, foundation, seeds. I think in this it's seeds. It means different things in different readings, but I think this is you are the seeds of something new. And it's something very, very real. And I think, it's also, I feel like there's this hidden energy in this until you're ready to come out, sort of like you're literally like the seeds under the earth waiting to be seen. So I think that's how that's playing out for you. The colour energy around a challenge or a challenger. Plum, choices, decisions, options. I think it's really interesting. I saw you looking back to somebody who saw you as not being able to do it. I feel this is the energy. Like it's the same looking back, but I feel that this is sorry, I'll turn that around the right way. I feel like there's someone who tries to limit the choices that you could have. But at the same time, I feel like behind it all, there's almost, because this is sort of colour of the crown chakra, you're being downloaded information to break free of that as well too. And that may be challenging you to do it as well too. So there's both a challenge of someone who tries to limit your options and the challenge of the one who wants to open them up. And that feels like a spirit guide. Okay, let's see a friend or a companion or a sidekick in this energy for you. Dandelion, manifestation, optimism. Yeah, somebody optimistic. Yes, you can. Yes, you can do it. You know, and I think you might inspire others to do it. That's what I'm saying. I think that part of the sidekick or the friend energy is the next stage of this, of how you actually then help others do something. So let's see how best to use these energies. So for you to use this seedling, you know, like keep it a little bit hidden until it's ready to grow energy. Sapphire, knowledge, learning, organisation. Yeah, spend some time like bringing in your information, your understanding, what you can do with this so that you've got a really good game plan going. The best energy to deal with those that are challenging you, either for your good or to try and limit you, either of those things. White, angels, purity, radiance. Listen to the higher order one, not to the other one. That's pretty clear. There is a very strong spiritual energy coming to nudge you forward. And then working with the friendship energy. Aquamarine, change, tides, flow. I think you're a change energy for others. This is why it feels a bit solitary. I feel like at first you're not with others. And I think when you get to this level, you feel like you're alone. But I think this is saying that you can actually bring others with you by inspiring them. So that's kind of the answer to the question for the second movie coming up for you, pile 3. So let's see some stars to guide you in this particular arc. Firstly, Mercury, your way of communicating and how you communicate. The Magician, yeah, you have all the kind of, it's another sort of connection to a tarot card that shows the esoteric. So you definitely have that. So how you communicate, when you communicate, all of this is going to be important. Venus, loving what you do, caring about what you do, probably caring about others. Yeah, and knowing your own innate beauty and your own capacity with the Empress to manifest and grow something. And Scorpio, there you are. The intent, you know, the devil, the high priestess, the hermit, like very, very spiritual, very, very psychic, very, very powerful on that level. And very intense. Like there's a great deal of intensity with this, which is probably the intensity that is the breakthrough in many ways. Okay, so just to finish off, I wanted to get a card from the Divine Circus to look at what the kind of end of the movie sort of feeling is. As I say, for you, I think it's the beginning of the next round, to be honest. But like, let's just see what the end of the movie feeling is on the current trajectory for you, pile 3. Bright Baby. Yeah, the star. This is also a card of finding clarity through simplicity. So I feel like there's a great deal of depth to what you do, and this breakthrough, there is a breakthrough. There's something that you really push the boundaries on. And then when you're trying to work out how do I have the success of this, but also potentially connect with others, the simple is the best. Like just going to the simplicity and letting the flow, going back to that inspiration that you had to take it to the next level. And then it will kind of work itself out. I feel as though there's such a push against unfair expectations, and you really beat that out. You really prove yourself, that then you feel like everything has to be that difficult, but I don't think it does. I think the next step for you is helping others to do it. So the simple, what was the simple things that you did, and simplifying it and just letting your light shine, because that's what's meant to happen. So I hope that resonates for you, pile 3. I think it's a really interesting trajectory for you. So I'll be fascinated to hear if this resonates, how you think it's playing out in your life. But for now, if you did enjoy the reading, please like and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, then I'd be delighted to read about it. But beyond that, I hope to see you in future readings.